Guardians in a sec, but I want to spend a few minutes on the Browns here. I was thinking over the weekend. Mahomes has dominated the NFL lately. He stopped a lot of good quarterbacks from winning Super Bowls, just like Jordan stopped a lot of good NBA players from ever winning an NBA championship. So when you look at the landscape of the NFL, who will be the next quarterback to win his first Super Bowl, and how high on that list does Deshaun Watson rank?
First, I want to commend you. This is a great topic.
Thank you.
This is a great topic, and I wish we had more time. Can we take more time? Because you had it slated to go till 25. That only
we go a little longer because the Guardians.
Okay.
We can squeeze those
we
together.
can squeeze that on the back end. I put a lot of thought into this, and I'm going to go first because I know I have him lowest. Mm-hmm. I know for a fact I do. But it speaks to the current state of the NFL and where we are.
Okay.
I'm going to count. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 is where I have Deshaun Watson. Only 5 quarterbacks, and I counted starters, by the way. I'm not giving. I'm not going to say, you were a backup on a Super Bowl team.
Yeah, that doesn't count.
Doesn't count.
No.
Led a team to a Super Bowl. There are only 5, which means there are 27, which means if you're 9th, you're in the top third.
Right.
I don't know where you guys had him, but this was a tough exercise for me because Brock Purdy, Joe Burrow, Lamar Jackson, Dak Prescott, Jordan Love. Anybody thinks that Jordan Love isn't the real thing, go back and watch that playoff game against Dallas. Even their loss the next week, watch that one.
Yeah.
Jalen Hurts. Justin Herbert, I'm going to throw some money, and it's going to be a significant number on the Chargers to go to the Super Bowl. And I know that everybody's going to be like, what the hell? The Chargers, in my view, the last couple of years, failed because of their coach. They have the roster, they have the superstar, they have the team to be successful. But because of internal things and because of some in-game decisions, it all started with the decision to, we'll play you to a tie. Remember that?
Yeah.
Justin Herbert, 7. I struggled with this one. In fact, I did have Deshaun 8th, and then I bumped him to 9th because I think Tua, I don't know what Tua we're going to get, but I think Tua has so many weapons on offense that they might just 56-35 everybody in the conference. Mm-hmm. So that's my list. It starts with Brock at the top of it, Joe Burrow, Lamar Jackson. Those are 3 MVP type players.
Well, Lamar got 2 of them already.
Dak Prescott. Yeah, I mean, Purdy's been to the Super Bowl. Burrow's been to the Super Bowl. Jackson has lacked the playoff success, but he took another step last year. Who knows where they can go? I still think that they're – here's the thing that sucks the most. 2 of my first 3 are in our division. And by the way, the other team that's not listed in our division has a guy that's already won a Super Bowl. So it's the AFC North. C.J. Stroud made this argument on his podcast. It might be the toughest division, not just in football this year. It might be the toughest division I've ever seen in the NFL.
Did you mention C.J. Stroud on your list, by the way?
C.J. Stroud was 10th for me.
Okay, he was
and
right behind. Okay.
That was very, very, very difficult. And if I was to make any change, it would be to put C.J. at 9 or at 8 against Tua and Deshaun Watson at 9.
I think your list is not bad. Your list is not bad. I think that I will have Deshaun probably maybe 2-3 spots higher.
Yeah.
Because it's funny, me and Anthony was doing this exercise last week. I tend to think that him and Justin Herbert is kind of like the same player. See, everybody talk about Deshaun Watson and his contract and his level of play not matching the money that he's making. Justin Herbert has not been balling out the last couple seasons. And Jay, I hear you. His coach probably put him behind the 8 ball. But that roster that we looked at last season and the season before that and said, man, like it's star-studded everywhere, most of those dudes is gone. Mike Williams is not there.
I know,
Keenan
that's going to be a problem.
Khalil Mack, I'm pretty sure he won't be there by the time the season starts.
But he's got a coach coming in that damn near won a Super Bowl and did win a national championship last year.
Derwin James has not lived up to the expectations, whether due to injury or other things. When you look at the situation at Dallas, I think Dallas has a very talented team. But Dak Prescott seems to always shrink in these huge moments. I think when he put this exercise together, being Mike, I thought he did a great job because it's challenged you to look at this as an entire organization. The
Man,
roster,
there are some good quarterbacks out there.
Yeah, but when I look at, the first thing I did was let me put every single quarterback aside and let me compare the Cleveland Browns roster to a lot of these rosters with these quarterbacks who hadn't won a Super Bowl. And the Browns roster is easily, probably, top 2 or 3?
And by the way, we didn't say that in the setup, but that is to be taken into account.
Yeah, that's what
the
to be
coach,
taken into account.
The current roster, all of that has to be added into your equation. We're not just saying in a vacuum which of these quarterbacks, because that's not fair.
Right.
You don't play in a vacuum.
Right. And so for me, it's like, okay, the defense got better as far as the coaching staff. You didn't really lose much, and the players that you replaced them with is probably better players. Miles just won Defensive Player of the Year. Ain't no telling where that type of motivation comes from. You got some new coaches on offense. You got Deuce Staley. You got Ken Dorsey in here to go with Kevin Stefanski, who's coming off his second
to me,
coach of
that
the year.
equals uncertainty. If it was still Stefanski calling the plays, we know what we have. Because we don't know what Ken Dorsey's going to look like, that was, to me, I couldn't say, well, last year we had great play calling. That doesn't carry over.
Now, Kevin said that him and Dorsey actually comes from the same family tree.
That's fine. That's all well and good, but we know their philosophies are different. We just know it.
Yeah.
Go look at what Ken Dorsey has done and look at what Kevin Stefanski has done.
For me, I think I will have Deshaun probably 7 or 6.
Okay.
Exactly where, I don't know. I think all I have is the last time I seen him.
Right.
And the last time I seen him, he was doing what elite quarterbacks do.
That was Houston Deshaun.
Right. And
now if we, and again, that's an assumption too. We don't even know what he's going to look like with the injury.
Yeah. But
you're right. If the exercise was based on the last half of football, all of these guys played, I don't know that you'd be hard pressed to not have Deshaun Watson in your top 3 because he was perfect.
Yeah, I mean,
and he led a comeback on the road against one of the toughest teams in the entire league. What you got, G? Give us that Kool-Aid.
The list of integrity is now upon you. I got Burrow number 1. Reason I got Burrow number 1, his offense is intact. I think they got a running back that kid that they had that was spelling for Mixon. I think his name's Brown. I think he has more burst. The only problem with the Bengals is I think their defense is a little weaker. But if Burrow is healthy out there doing it, I think he's number 1. This is going to surprise a lot of people. Brock Purdy. The reason I got Brock Purdy at 2 is because Brock Purdy plays in the NFC, and his team is stacked. So Christian, we ain't got to run out of names. They got all of them. If they can figure out what Ayuk is doing, and they got Shanahan, one of the best coordinators, and I like what they got on defense. So I got them playing over there. I got Purdy. This is the highest this is going to be. I got C.J. Stroud at 3.
Woo! Damn.
I got and listen, this is shout out to the Texans people out there because I told them he was a young pup. Listen, they got Nico Collins. They got your boy. They went and got Diggs. They done already got Tank Dell. They young. They got Mixon.
They got Anderson on defense.
They got a young, vibrant coach. They gonna be a problem.
That's interesting, G. That you'd have them 3 because I struggled with C.J. Stroud. He to me was the mystery. Here's why he didn't get in the top 9. You know who else didn't get in the top 9?
Aaron Rodgers.
He didn't get in there either.
Well, he's won a Super Bowl, so he doesn't count.
AFC, yeah, he's won a Super Bowl. These are guys that didn't win a Super Bowl. Trevor Lawrence 2 years ago was C.J. Stroud.
I got Trevor Lawrence in there. Who's like 9.
So remember, 2 years ago, we looked at Jacksonville, and we're like, AFC is going to have to deal with him for a long time. And they regressed. And I'm not predicting that Houston and CJ will regress, but I will say this, from talking to a lot of NFL coaches, general managers, and quarterbacks through the years, almost all of them that had first-year success, look at the ones recently, almost all of them, and I know Lawrence wasn't in his rookie year.
Look here.
Look here. Almost all of them, Baker Mayfield set rookie quarterback records, take a step back in year 2. Why? You got tape. The league knows how to prepare for you.
The reason I have them that highly ranked is because, for me, a prerequisite of winning a Super Bowl in the AFC is you have to have at least one round of home games.
Yeah,
you look at what
that's
happened.
true.
You look what happened last year with the Browns. Browns had a better record than the Texans. Texans ended up with the game they getting blew out. Who feels like the Browns would have had a much better chance to win that football game? Everybody
at home.
So they play in a weaker division. They're going to play in a weaker division, and the Browns, at best, you go 4-2 in the division. So now that puts you at a position where you may necessarily make the playoffs, but you might not have a home game. And I'm going to give them the edge in the division that they play in.
Pause right there before you go. I feel you, but them winning that division or ended up with that home playoff game was more so because of Jacksonville collapsing and not because
I agree
of them.
with that.
Because
Jacksonville had that on lock.
They controlled their own destiny.
And they fell asleep.
And they fell apart at the end of the season.
Last 4 games.
I hear you and how that ran, how that played out, but man,
also, what's Anthony Richardson going to be? You know what? We don't know.
Hey, Jacksonville, I like them, but they should have got them while they was young. they can come back next year. You should have beat them and had an opportunity. That's the way it works.
No, I know.
Necessarily. Right. Now they done got better, and they feel themselves a little bit. So I got C.J. Stroud in there, but it's close. Fourth, I got Lamar Jackson, but I got an asterisk on this. Lamar Jackson is fourth, which is very high on this list, but in my heart of hearts, I just don't believe it. And the reason is you've had 2 opportunities at home. The year you won MVP, you lost to the Tennessee Titans at home, and you got cute the same way you did against the Chiefs last year. You're a run team. You're predicated on a run. Y'all got nice stats all year. You're balanced. You look like a juggernaut, and then you get into the playoffs, and at home, you miraculously don't do what you need to do. And Lamar Jackson, when you're talking about these players, Lamar, to me, is the worst thrower out of these people.
I'll give you that.
So, fifth, I got Watson at 5.
Woo.
And I'm going to work backwards to say why. I think Jordan Love, who I have at 6, I like the Browns roster better than Packers. I got Dak Prescott at 7. I like the Dallas Cowboys roster, but I don't believe that Dak Prescott can win playoff games. He just hasn't shown me.
That's been his problem.
At 8, I got Josh Allen. I would have had Josh Allen switched with Jordan Love. I would have had them switched if they would have kept.
I didn't even have Josh Allen in my top 10.
Just one receiver.
Because I think their roster is
crazy.
What's that?
I don't necessarily disagree, but that's crazy. I didn't realize.
Well, last year when I said on this show that I thought I would take, I said I had Purdy in the top 5, and he said, who you putting out? And I said Josh Allen.
I wasn't a fan.
No, you've been consistent. You named all the quarterbs.
Right.
I was like, oh,
he didn't even have them.
But it's more so on the roster, though.
It's his
more
roster.
so on the roster. That's exactly right. They've had a significant loss.
Yeah.
A significant loss.
Now, Herbert.
And because of that, I don't have him in my top 10.
Herbert, I got at 9. And Herbert, I would have him higher if they would. I don't know what they're going to do at receiver, but I like the coach. I like the defense. I think they will be marketed better.
They'll figure it out.
They'll figure something out.
He with Colin Kaepernick, he got the Niners to the Super Bowl.
He did. I give him that. And then I got Trevor Lawrence rounding up at 10. But let me go back to why I got Watson at 5. If you look at the Browns roster compared to all those other people.
No, I'll give you that.
At 5, he already beat Lamar Jackson once. And he was hurt and hobbled. They're better at receiver.
You didn't have Tua on there, though.
I didn't have Tua.
And Miami's roster is...
The only reason I didn't have Tua on there over Trevor Lawrence was the simple fact that they lost some offensive linemen. They lost Lawrence, Dexter Lawrence in the middle. I think they got a little worse defensively. I like what they did. They got OBJ. They got Hill, Tyreek Hill. But when it get cold,
don't come north for a playoff game.
You're
don't
done.
come to Buffalo, Cleveland, Cincinnati, Baltimore.
None of that. No Kansas City. I got him at 5.
Can I think everybody made great cases. Can you ask Bull to do this when he's in? Because the whole time I'm doing this.
I'll text him right now.
I'm thinking about Bull and what his list would be. And would he have Burrow at 1? And would that be a homer move because he's a Bengal fan? Where would he have Purdy? I know when we had our famous disagreement on him, he wasn't high on Purdy. My opinion of Brock Purdy hasn't changed. I thought he was that dude when I said that I'd take him over Allen, and I still would take him.
He that dude until they play the AFC North.
Well, here's
And those matchups that we seen San Francisco play the AFC North, Brock Purdy was neutralized
we beat
every
them.
single time.
Baltimore beat them.
His receivers and him got the most solid rapport. He been playing with them dudes forever.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? You look at Purdy. He's had the same team, same receivers.
Right.
Even if you look at Watson and even CJ Stroud a little bit, they're going to have to adjust. And the Stephon Diggs thing, that's a wild card. Like, he wants that ball. He's going to want the rock.
And he's going to tell you he
like
wants
he's
that
gonna
ball.
want it. Like, you know what I'm saying? And obviously Deshaun Watson has not had a chance to play with Judy and some of the other guys. So we expecting Jerry Judy to be great. But yeah, like that's a difference. I like teams that have solid guys that know where they're gonna be at, and we've seen it with the Super Bowl with Burrow. We've seen it in Purdy.
I think if I'm discounting Deshaun Watson for anything, it's the fact that I do like this roster. I love this Browns roster. The problem I'm having getting him to 9 is, yes, I saw the Baltimore game, but I also saw the 11 and a half other games, because really it was only a half for Baltimore. And he wasn't even passing for 200 yards in those other games. It was just he took a half and he exploded. And then he's going into mothballs for 11 months. And we talked about the long layoff, and then we saw with our own eyes how it affected him. Now, there's going to be 11 months between meaningful snaps for Deshaun Watson. And I don't know what that looks like. So the more question marks I had when I was doing this exercise, the lower you went on my list.
And it's fair.
But roster was not one of the questions for this team.
It's fair, but here's the thing. And I love Joe Burrow, so I try not to take shots. But I think that because the injuries concerns with Deshaun Watson is there. But if you look at Joe Burrow's career,
he's had them.
Those injury concerns are starting to creep up too when it comes to him. His availability and his durability as well. And I honestly feel like that the Cleveland Browns got a better roster than the Cincinnati Bengals did.
I was on Sports for CLE.
It's a hot take.
And I said the same thing. I think Colin Cowherd, you'll see it on Ultimate Browns. Make sure I check that out at 5 o'clock.
Is he a guest today?
No, not Colin Cowherd. He's not a guest. If Colin Cowherd was a guest, I would be doing it at 2 o'clock.
Yo, did he? Wait a minute.
You said Colin Cowherd on 5 o'clock today.
Wait a minute.
Well, I was going to preface that and bring that back. Colin Cowherd had made some comments about the Browns,
and those will be discussed.
We're going to talk about that at 5 o'clock.
Now, he's never been a big Browns guy.
No. So, and here's the thing, and the reasons he gave for not liking the Browns. If you just pick the Browns and say, listen, I think the division is tough, I like this, that, and third, I wouldn't be mad at you.
Right.
Because,
it's true.
It's true. I think
the team that ends up finishing last place next year could also win the division.
Yes.
And I know everybody would say, well, that's Pittsburgh. They could win the division.
Joe Burrow is one more injury away from being Deshaun Watson injury prone.
He's real close. You're right.
Like, let's not act like
he had the ACL.
He had the ACL.
Last year he had the leg,
the calf.
The
then
wrist.
he broke the wrist. And then we talking about, listen, I mean, it's his throwing hand. Like, it wasn't like it was something opposite. Like, let's be clear. Like, that's a thing. And when you talk about the Steelers, I mean, Russell Wilson is a very divisive. Like, you talk to somebody, they love him.
He's a wild card.
He's a wild card. You talk to somebody, say, 26 touchdowns, 8 interceptions. He didn't play that bad. But then you talk to somebody else and said he was horrible. They had to get rid of him. So for me, I think the fair question marks is this. When you mention him throwing for under 100 yards or 200 yards, and I think people don't drill down on this enough. I think Jimmy Haslam was like, nah, I don't care what we're going to do. We're going to throw for 3. And if we lose, I can imagine Jimmy Haslam being like, and if the games are kind of close for us throwing 3, this is the style of football we're going to play. Because I'm tired of watching everybody else's guys do specifically that. Especially, and I don't understand why people act like these guys aren't human. You moved away from Baker Mayfield. Baker Mayfield made the Pro Bowl. Right?
Won a playoff game.
Right? So let's not act like you traded. Texas traded C.J. Stroud. They beat you. They won a playoff game, right? Let's not act like these people ain't men with pride.
Sure, right.
Like, come on now. No, everybody is mature adults. No. Jimmy Haslam was like, listen, the reason why we're moving on from who we're moving on from, I like you, Kevin, but we got to get more explosive. I want to see the ball thrown. And
Particularly how we lost in the playoffs. I
Yes.
want to look like that. And by the way, that can be a dangerous game they play.
Oh, that's a
And
very
here's why.
dangerous game.
Because the target that you're shooting for on what wins in the NFL, even though we think that we're settled on passing,
Yeah.
it's a moving target.
Yeah, it is.
And we've seen that over the last couple of years, how the offense has gone down, the defense has come back. Be careful if you're shooting at a target that might be old by the time you hit it.
In games that he started and finished last year, Deshaun Watson threw for at least 213 yards in every game except for one. He threw for 154 against Cincinnati.
Okay, those aren't big numbers, though.
Yeah, I know, but he also had, this is another thing. He never had a game to where he threw for more interceptions than touchdowns, if in case you want to count the Indy game. So I think that if Deshaun Watson is healthy, I think Deshaun going to ball. I have no rhyme or reason outside of my fandom, just my gut feeling.
It's fair.
I got nothing to back it up, but just in my gut, I think if Deshaun Watson is healthy, he gonna ball his ass off.
Well, that's
this
what I
year.
want. And when I was doing this, I wanted him to be first on the list.
Yeah.
But I had to take into account everything, including the Baltimore half, but the other 11 and a half games that he's played in Cleveland as well.
Yeah, I don't
and has
know.
had a pretty damn good roster for all of them.
It's funny because I agree with both of y'all during the segment. One, I don't think Lamar Jackson sucks at throwing the football, and two, I don't think Joe Burrow is number one.
I think
injuries.
that was hyperbole.
No, I don't think he sucks. He said he was
he's the worst.
Of the men he mentioned, he was the worst thrower of the football, and I agree with that.
I don't.
I mean, I think the numbers would probably back it up.
Watson, Jordan Love, Dak Prescott, Josh Allen, Herbert, or Lawrence. I think people would say when it comes to passing, those guys are better natural passers of the football.
What clouds your perhaps judgment is that we've seen Lamar make throws that he's the only guy in the league that can make them.
Maybe that's my problem.
And so what he can do in terms of skill set is probably first in the league.
Playmaking?
Because what he can do with his legs, nobody else can come close to.
Stay down there somewhere, and I know he can get it there.
If you say playmaker, he's number one on the list.
I would agree with that.
Bull is currently typing. He said you'll have it by the end of the show. So I'll
Awesome.
give you guys Bull's answer at the end of the show.
And he's
We'll
doing
read
it
some
in a
super
vacuum,
chats.
right? He wasn't watching us.
No, he's not watching. And I
Good.
said, look at the exact
gonna have
prompt I
Burrow
sent in the
one.
rundown chat
Awesome.
and answer that question.
Make sure